I'm Paul Finney. The name of my shop is October Kitchen. I'm a local boy. I was raised in East Hartford. I live in Glastonbury, and my shop's here in Manchester. October Kitchen is a chef service. Now, we're not a restaurant. I'm not a caterer for, weddings or parties or that sort of thing, but we are a chef service. And what we do is you want to think of, if you had a chef cooking for you every week, making nice, delicious meals for you, that's what we are. We do a couple of different types of menus every week. There's a fresh menu, there's a frozen menu. We change the fresh menu every week, so it's always something new and different. It's not like eating at the same restaurant every single week. And we specialize in nourishing, healthy food for the people who don't have time to cook, hate to cook, shouldn't cook, banned from the kitchen. Cooking, there's a lot of labor that goes into cooking well. It should be taken seriously and with love and devotion, and that's what a chef service is and what we do. I always wanted to be a chef. When I was a little kid, my mom would tell the story of I would pull out the bottom drawer from the cupboard and stand on it and peer over the counter and see what it was that she was making. And when I was in high school in home economics, Mrs. Farrington, bless her, she said, you're good, you need to go to the culinary program that they offer. And for half of my sophomore year, my junior and senior year, I was in Mrs. Dembeck's culinary arts class, and she taught me the ropes, and I really took to it like a duck to water. And through that program, got a scholarship to go to Johnson & Wales, went through Johnson & Wales, and I loved that. I worked for a lot of different restaurants. I worked in Newport, went out and worked in Boston. I worked for Todd English up at Olives up in Boston, several places around Connecticut. I was bussing tables at Cavies when I was 16 years old. And I was the executive chef at Main and Hopewell in the 90s, where I got an excellent in the New York Times in 1997, and that's where I met my wife, Allison. She was my favorite waitress back in the day. After my wife and I got married and my daughter came along, I realized the restaurant industry was way too much of a grind. It was 100 hours a week, all nights, all holidays, all weekends, and I decided there had to be a better way. So I hung out my shingle and became a personal chef. I cooked for private clients in their own homes for 10 years. I would go from house to house to house, do all the grocery shopping, do all the preparation, and load people's refrigerators and freezers with prepared meals made for them, specifically customized to them. The problem with that is there's only so many days of the week and so many families that you can visit. And I'd always wanted to do it on a bigger scale for more people. And at that point, I decided after doing that for 10 years, we had to fish or cut bait. And we rented a little just bootstrap kitchen and started doing deliveries one day a week. I carved it off of my schedule and just to test the concept. And we went from 2 volunteers to try out the concept to 6 friends and family that were interested to 12 customers and 18, 24, 36, 40, and we just mushroomed like that to the point where we are now, where we're serving, we're delivering hundreds of deliveries every single week to all over the greater Connecticut area, and we've served, thousands of families and households. October Kitchen, everybody wants to know is where does the name come from. My daughter was still in school, and we went to an open house, and I was walking down the hallway, and I saw this picture kind of grab me, and it was a picture of a cornucopia with pumpkins and squash and corn, and I looked at it, and it just struck me, boom, October Kitchen, boom. And my daughter drew that picture. I didn't even know it, and it hangs in our kitchen behind the stove to this day. And when I'm listed on the stock exchange, the ticker symbol will be OK, and that's OK with me. Our main type of customers are really in 2 major categories. We cater primarily to boomers and seniors on a great deal. They're the ones who really have the need for this level of service in their lives. They're either busy with their careers, or the seniors just don't have the time or the aptitude or the energy to do all the shopping, do all the cooking and cleaning and that sort of thing. We offer delivery once a week. So every week, or as frequently or as infrequently as you like, you can have a delivery delivered right to your home. We do all the production, all the cooking, everything is done from scratch in our kitchen. Everything's blast chilled, portioned and packaged into our special containers, and then it goes out in our special refrigerated boxes. Now, you kind of want to think of it as the milkman for the 21st century. We'll send out our refrigerated boxes, we'll leave it at your doorstep or in the breezeway, or my drivers will help you bring it in and unpack it for you if it's too heavy for you. And then with your next order, the following delivery, you just put that empty container out. And then we'll take that one away, and you can have the paperwork in there and have your order for the following week put in there. And we'll bring you a fresh one, and the process repeats. So it very simply leapfrogs one week over the next, and you can always have a nice, steady supply of fresh, wholesome meals delivered right to the door. There's, we try to make it very simple. You can order online, give us a phone call, do it all on with paper and pencil. We cover all the bases in that regard. You can definitely come into the shop. We've got a beautiful showroom with refrigerated cases and freezer cases, and you can grab and go, one meal for the night, or stock up for the week or the month. We've got a lot of people that come in and pick up stuff for themselves, or they've got neighbors who, struggle with food, or too busy. We've got busy single folks who just, don't have time, and they'll grab themselves a lunch and a dinner or whatever. So you can come in and grab as much or as little as you need. We're open Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 6:30, and Saturdays 10 to 2. I will warn you though, because we change the fresh menu every single week, there's only a limited supply of stuff. So we'll make what we need to put out in our deliveries. We'll make what we need, what we think we're gonna sell for retail throughout the day. But if we run out of, this week we're making the buffalo chicken mac and cheese. If I run out of that on Thursday, it's gone. We're not going to make it again. But I do also make some, chef specials depending on what I feel like making and what's in the market, and if I find something fun. So there's other specials that are only available in the retail store that aren't listed on the website or in our published menus, that are little things that I whip up and produce just for the walk-in customers. The nice thing that I've really been blessed with is, so many times as a chef in the restaurant business, your customers are anonymous to you. You get to focus on, making the plate and putting the food out, and you really don't have any sort of connection with the people in the dining room. You may know some of your regulars and have a relationship with some of them, through your staff and so on. But I've always been able to go and know my customers firsthand when I was cooking in people's homes. I still have clients to this day that I've been cooking for 20 years. When I was in their house for 10 years, every once a month or every 2 weeks. And we're still friends and clients, and, talk and email back and forth. And I've been blessed to really know so many of these people personally, and cooking on that different type of level, when I'm cooking for you, is different when I'm just cooking for me. My favorite meal is, and everybody says this, but it's Thanksgiving dinner. I love doing Thanksgiving dinner. Was always a big deal in my family, gathering around at the dining room table at my grandmother's house. And I remember being like 13 years old and going over there and making the turkey the first time. It was kind of funny because I was making pies just the other day for Easter, and And I said to one of my chefs, it's like, I don't need yoga or meditation. I just need to make pies because I get in my nice little Zen zone, and that's all I think about. And I've been doing it for so long. I just totally space out doing it, and I enjoy that quite a bit. So Thanksgiving, it touches all the bases. You know, you've got a nice meal and lots of different vegetables, and you get to play around. The biggest movers and sellers that everybody, goes for all the time are our pot roast. We do a really nice Yankee pot roast, and we'll make hundreds of those every single week. Our chicken pot pie, hundreds of those go out every single week. And people go crazy for our soups. It's one of those things because we change the soups every single week. I've got a really nice French onion this week. Last week was a creamy turkey vegetable. That was great. Now, I really like making those recipes, and people enjoy having them because there's not a lot of places out there where you can get a really good homemade soup. And we do everything. We'll make our own vegetable stock. We'll make our own chicken stock. We'll make our own beef stock because we do stuff with less salt. The stuff that's out there is, incredibly loaded with sodium. And we always say, you can always add it, but you can't take it out. So that's been one of our mottos for the longest time. That's one of the menu categories that's kind of unusual that we have is garlic free. And that started years ago. I have a handful of about 5 or 6 or 7 customers from day one that were hypersensitive or actually allergic to garlic. And they would ask me every week, does this have garlic in it? Does that have garlic in it? Can I have this? Can I have that? And I would tell them yes, no, maybe, and so on. And then I kind of got tired of doing it, so we made it a category. So now it's right there. So it says, garlic free. And you'd be surprised how many people out there have that particular sensitivity. And it breaks my heart because I love it. But to be able to have some things that they can enjoy, no questions asked, because it sneaks up on you in a lot of different ways. You can do a lot these days and have things gluten-free. Now, I always say, and when you see it on the menu, it's wheat-free, because we're not a certified gluten-free establishment. We do use wheat and glutinous products in the kitchen, and there's always a risk of an inadvertent airborne cross-contamination or that sort of thing. So the people who are really highly reactive to it and full-blown celiac and so on, if they can't tolerate more than what the 6 parts per billion or whatever before they have a reaction, I can't help you. But for 90% of the other people who are sensitive or making a conscious choice, they're totally fine with it, and we'll just, there's no ingredients that have any glutinous, so on and so forth in there. The only ingredient that was, had gluten in it was, let's say, flour to thicken up a sauce, okay? Well, I'll just take it and flip it and use rice flour instead, and we use that a lot of time. So the people who are sensitive, they get one more option that they can choose from. And everybody else who doesn't care never knows the difference, So just a couple of choices or a couple different substitutions, and all of a sudden we open up a whole nother world to folks who might normally be shut out. I'll do that a lot of times if I'm doing a meatloaf or a meatballs. It's nothing for me to make it with gluten-free breadcrumbs. Okay, if you don't have an issue with it, you would never know. But for the people out there that do have an issue with it, it's like, I get to have meatballs, and that's a big deal for them. So it becomes like I offer the best of both worlds for people. We pride ourselves on being a healthy kitchen, and when we do our desserts and our muffins, we do them in a healthier fashion with less sugar where we can, and so on. We offer like a reduced sugar appleberry cobbler. I do have some of the best cookies that are no holds barred. They're the real butter, they're the real chocolate, we're the real sugar. We'll do our chocolate chip cookies or our cherry oatmeal white chocolate crunch cookies. And every week we do other different desserts. Like I've got a a strawberry streusel tea cake coming up next week. Everything from my Nana's chocolate vinegar cake, which is an old-time recipe. I like taking old-time recipes and bringing them into the modern day, and being able to tweak them and make them something that's special that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm truly grateful to be able to cook with that sort of heart first philosophy, and that's why I do what we do, and that's why October Kitchen's motto is nourishing people. And that's why what we do is homemade easy. It's homemade easy, and if you don't have to leave the confines of your house and be able to stay independent and focus on more important things, we'll take care of the food for you.